A dusty morning breeze swept through the abandoned truck stop on the edge of Redwood Highway, carrying with it the heavy scent of diesel, loneliness, and a man whose whole life felt like it was falling apart. Ryder Malik, once a proud biker who rode with fire in his chest, now felt like a ghost drifting through daylight. He was broke, exhausted, and clinging to the fading remnants of a life he no longer understood. His leather vest was worn thin, the patched insignia barely holding on, just like he was. The world had taken chunks out of him, one loss at a time. But that morning, as he stood beside his rust-eaten Harley, ready to give up on just about everything, he heard a sound that cut straight through his numbness. A tiny whimper. Faint, frightened, desperate. And that single sound would reshape his entire destiny, because the little creature making it was about to change his life in a way he never could have imagined. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the beauty of unexpected bonds, make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe to Always Kind. It truly helps keep stories like this alive. The whimper came from behind an overturned crate near the back of the truck stop. Ryder's boots crunched across gravel as he approached slowly, almost cautiously. His life had made him wary, nothing fragile ever lasted around him. When he crouched down and moved the crate aside, his breath stopped at the sight. A tiny stray puppy, barely skin and bone, with dust-matted fur and frightened amber eyes that were far too wise for its size. The little thing struggled to lift its head, let out another soft sound, and then collapsed again. Ryder felt something crack open inside him. He didn't understand it at the time. He just knew he couldn't walk away. He scooped the puppy gently into his arms. It was warm, trembling, and light, far too light. It pressed its head against his chest, not knowing who he was, not knowing if he was safe, but clinging to him as if he was the only chance it had. Ryder swallowed hard. He hadn't been needed by anything in a long time. And he didn't realize just how much he needed this moment too. He got back on his bike, cradling the puppy inside his vest to shield it from the wind, and rode toward the small shack he called home on the outskirts of Briar Ridge. He didn't have much, not money, not comfort, not certainty, but for the first time in years, the emptiness inside him felt less hollow. He named the pup Rusty, inspired by the rusted shade of brown in its fur and the old metal life they were both trying to survive. In the weeks that followed, Rusty slowly regained strength. Ryder fed him whatever scraps he could afford, sometimes skipping meals himself so the little dog wouldn't go hungry. Rusty learned to follow Ryder everywhere, wagging his tail at every rough morning and resting beside him through every sleepless night. The puppy became more than a pet, he became an anchor. A reason to wake up. A reminder that even broken lives could still offer warmth. Ryder's brothers in the club teased him at first. They laughed when the tiny dog poked its head out of Ryder's saddlebag during daytime rides. But eventually, even the roughest of them softened toward Rusty. Something about the dog's resilience and loyalty fit right in with men who knew too well how hard life could be. Over the months and eventually into years, Rusty grew from a fragile stray into a strong, smart, fiercely loyal companion. His muscles filled out, his coat shone in the sunlight, and he became Ryder's shadow, never more than a few feet away. Ryder taught him hand signals, riding cues, and even how to stay balanced on the bike during long rides. They shared everything, the open road, the good days, the bad ones, the silence, the storms. Rusty was no longer just a dog. He was family. But life has a way of testing bonds, especially the ones forged from pain and survival. For years after picking up Rusty, Ryder found himself in the middle of the biggest struggle of his life. Money was tighter than ever. The club had fractured, infighting, disagreements, and losses had worn everyone down. Ryder had stepped back from the darker paths the others wanted to take, and it left him on the outskirts. He spent most of his days doing odd jobs, repairing bikes, loading scrap metal, and taking any work he could get. The days were long, the sun unforgiving, and hope felt thin. One afternoon, Ryder got a call to check on an abandoned storage lot just outside Briar Ridge. Someone had reported strange activity there, rattling at night, shadows, maybe even squatters. Ryder didn't think much of it, he was just grateful for the small paycheck. So he strapped on his old helmet, called Rusty to his side, and headed toward the lot under the bright clarity of daytime sun. The property was huge, rows of metal storage units, half-collapsed fencing, overgrown weeds. Sunlight spilled everywhere, but somehow the place felt isolated, too quiet, as if the world outside had paused. Rusty kept close, tail low, ears focused. Ryder trusted the dog's instincts more than his own. Rusty had never reacted this tense without a reason. They walked deeper between the rusted storage buildings, Ryder listening for signs of intruders. A few pigeons fluttered overhead. A piece of sheet metal clanked in the breeze. Everything else was silent. Then Rusty froze. A low growl rumbled from deep in his chest, and every hair along his back bristled. Ryder stopped immediately. He knew Rusty well enough to know this wasn't a false alarm. Then he heard it. Footsteps. Not one person. Multiple. Before Ryder could turn, before he could even process the danger, two men stepped out from behind a storage unit, and another appeared behind him. Their faces were partially covered, their eyes hard. They weren't just squatters. These were men hiding something, and they didn't want a witness. Ryder's pulse hammered. He raised his hands slowly, trying to defuse the situation. But they didn't care. The tallest one advanced, gripping a metal bar. Ryder's throat tightened. He had no weapons, no backup, nowhere to run. But Rusty did. In a flash of brown fur and explosive force, Rusty lunged forward just as the attacker swung the metal bar at Ryder. The bar missed Ryder's head by inches, because Rusty had slammed into the man's legs, knocking him off balance. Chaos erupted. The other two men lunged toward Ryder, and he grappled with them, adrenaline surging through him. Rusty didn't hesitate. Teeth bared, he leaped again, forcing another attacker to stumble backward. The sunlight glinted off Rusty's fur as he moved with fearless determination, protecting Ryder with every ounce of strength he had. But then a blow landed. A sickening sound. Rusty yelped, a sharp, painful cry that tore through Ryder's chest like fire. Ryder snapped. He surged forward, tackling the men who had struck Rusty. Every survival instinct, every buried emotion, every shred of loyalty erupted in him. He fought with a desperation that defied exhaustion. He grabbed the metal bar, swung with shaking hands, and forced the attackers away long enough for them to realize this wasn't worth whatever they were hiding. They ran, shadows disappearing into the daylight, leaving Ryder and Rusty alone in the dusty silence. Ryder dropped the metal bar and fell to his knees beside Rusty. His hands trembled as he checked the dog's ribcage, brushing aside dust and dirt. Rusty whimpered but lifted his head, nudging Ryder's hand gently, as if to say he was still here. Ryder pressed his forehead against Rusty's and let the tears fall freely. That dog, the stray he had saved, had just saved his life. He carried Rusty carefully to his bike, whispering encouragement, promising he'd be okay. He rode straight to the town vet, refusing to let fear take over. Rusty needed him now, and Ryder wasn't about to fail him. Hours passed. The vet examined him, cleaned his wounds, checked for fractures, and finally delivered the news Ryder needed more than anything: Rusty would recover. Pain, bruising, strained muscles, but he would make it. Ryder's shoulders slumped in relief. The weight crushing him eased for the first time in years. He sat beside Rusty until sunset, watching the gentle rise and fall of the dog's breathing. And in that quiet moment, Ryder understood something profound. Rusty hadn't just saved his life physically. He had saved him these past 4 years, pulled him out of despair, given him purpose, reminded him what loyalty truly meant.